This is Claudine Pereira from the Pink Coach Business Coaching and Consulting, and you are listening to S.M.E Stories podcast with the amazing Ken Alfred.
You are now listening to the next great small business podcast. Welcome to the S.M.E Stories podcast, where it is all about small businesses in Canada. And here's your host, Ken Alfred.
Hey everybody, thanks for downloading the show. We got a great episode today with Claudine Pereira of thepinkcoach.com. So a little bit about Claudine. Claudine is an experienced professional business coach and leadership development trainer. Claudine Pereira assists people with fundamental behavioral change. Her consistent and captivating approach stretches her clients to move beyond a limiting sense of self and achieve their desired personal and professional goals. An inspirational speaker, certified life coach, and international best-selling co-author of the Live Out Loud, Claudine is passionate about her work. Claudine works with small business owners and leaders through coaching, training, and consulting. She brings laser focus and strong structure, allowing them to stand out as confident, proud, and polished professionals. With over 25 years of coaching experience and through engaging one-on-one sessions, Claudine's boundless energy, fire, and compassion catapults people's learning experiences into active self-improvement. She not only promotes self-discovery, but instills lasting confidence. So we're going to have a very interesting episode today. We have a great guest here, and I know we're going to have a great conversation. She's going to tell us some awesome stories. So sit back and absorb. And all right, guys, we have Claudine Pereira from the Pink Coach. Claudine, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, Ken. Thanks for asking. I'm so happy to be here. Excited to talk to you today.
Someone excited to talk to me. Okay, that's a good. I'm not used to hearing that. So, but okay.
You are popular.
Well, yes, so things are slowly getting busier, but that's also a good thing as well. And I know, especially with your company as well, is going to be. I think they're growing well. For those who haven't noticed in the intro, Claudine actually has a very awesome YouTube channel, and just a spoiler alert, she has a couple of very special interviews that people might not be aware of. She talked to Senator Bernie Sanders and Sir Elton John. I'm just going to leave it at that so people can check out your channel for your interview with them, and it's going to be awesome. I loved it when I saw it.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Claudine, the Pink Coach, what's your story?
Yeah, so a little bit of a background about me. Obviously, you can tell I'm English, born and raised in the UK. Emigrated to Canada in 1995. Landed my very first, the corporate gig. You come to Canada as an immigrant, you take the first job that's sort of put in front of you, even though albeit it's not maybe ideal, and just ended up staying there and have a glorious corporate career for the last 19 years. 19 years in total. So started the business in 2014 and have been doing this for the last 8 years. And it was just really, the natural progression coming out of, a beautiful corporate career to be able to coach and train clients that I had chosen and to do it my way.
Wow. Okay. No, that's great to hear. So 2014. So what was it about, I guess the coaching space that kind of drew you into it, right? So was it something that you just enjoyed working with others, or, they're about maybe taking courses in it because it was a slight interest? How did you start with that?
Yeah, I was really, most of my career at the bank, I was quite senior and I was coaching large teams. So coaching was it was in my blood. It was innately in me right from the get-go. And the one thing I'll say is that you really have to have a love for seeing people grow and a love for people. That's my business. I'm in the people business. And so, my sort of background doing it at the bank catapulted into the Pink Coach. At the time I did go back to school, actually. I went back to George Brown College in Toronto to study my life coaching designation. So I was able to also offer that up to my clients as well, because you're in business, but also to, life is such a huge piece of that. So that's kind of how I slid into, doing this on my sort of my own steam. It wasn't a new thing for me. It was just kind of what I had always been used to, and just that passion to watch people grow, and to get results would just really turned me on. I was always a very driven, individual. I grew up in the dance world. So, competition and drive and, resilience and determination and always striving for some kind of like a metric or a result, is really what, coaching is all about when, especially in the business world.
Oh, interesting. So if you hear that, listeners, so it's not that she's a killer, but she can also dance over your grave while she destroys you. But no, I'm kidding. That's not.
Exactly.
I'm sure that's good.
And I can still dance. I'm still tap dancing.
Okay, tap dancing.
Tap
Okay,
dancing.
I've never been able to dance well. My wife, unfortunately, Mrs. K, is not a great dancer. But
Okay.
you know, well, that's another story altogether. So how big is your current team at this point? Are you by yourself? You have an assistant or a few people on staff?
Yeah. So it's myself as the main coach. I have a gentleman who is my guru, Igor, who does all of my like back end, web design. And something goes wrong in my email, he's my tech support, and also does like a lot of, like the output for newsletters, social media, and so on. And that I have as an assistant. Marta is just outstanding, and is, I can't live without her. She keeps my life automated and running like a well-oiled machine. And then, the other people on my team that I'll mention that a lot of business owners don't think about are my physiotherapist, my massage therapist, my trainer, these are my housekeeper, the lady that comes in to, automate my home and make it beautiful so I don't have to spend time pushing the vacuum around. They also are part of my team, and I couldn't do what I do without them. So by freeing up my time and having all these guys do those pieces, I'm freeing up my time to do what I love the most, and that's coaching.
And that's the funny thing too. I think when most people think about it, they think, okay, assistants, like you said, tech support or something like that, maybe an accountant or anything. But you're talking like the whole life system, whole life staff, right? So, like you said, about family, friends, whatever, but having people that really help you develop your overall thing, not just your work, right? Because like you said, you're physiotherapists, all your trainer and everything, which is great to hear because you don't really hear that. I think everyone thinks about, I have X number of staff. And, I think for some small businesses, they want to have almost the bragging rights that they have 20 staff or I don't want to be called a small business anymore, Ken. I want to be a large business. Okay. Medium businesses are maximum 100 people. So you're going to get more than 100. I have 50. Okay, good. So you're still technically small, but that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that.
Exactly. No, nothing wrong with that. And I think that we insert that word small business and we dilute ourselves and make ourselves look small when we don't need to even really label it. And the thing is, you can save money on cost of, many, many employees. If you have some of these other people in the background automating your life for you and making you do well, you can actually do more because the other people are taking time off of your plate. So it's kind of like, I always look at these guys and kind of, coach my clients towards, these people are part of your team. People here at the office, the receptionists, people that, own the space here, the people that keep my office tidy. And, they're all part of my team to allow me just to walk in here and do what I do.
All right. Now,
just a bit of a different spin of looking at it.
Well, here's a question for you then. So if you had to start over again, Claudine, who do you hire first? If you would recommend someone, I know this is already in our tips of the pro segment already, so we're already jumping the gun there. But if someone was starting to, let's say, who should be it doesn't have to be like a full-time employee, but whether it's a contract or whatever, if you had to go back in time, who would be the first role you would hire for?
So I would say definitely somebody to make sure that you show up in the right way. Right? Especially if you're just starting out, you want to make sure that your brand presence is crisp and clear right from the get-go. And it's not just about your colors. It's about, showing up the same way wherever you show up. So if you're on Instagram, LinkedIn, Pinterest, TikTok, that your brand has that consistency, and having somebody else's eyes on it is honestly the best money that you'll ever spend. That coupled with a website, which is really the window into your business. It's the first place people are typically going to go when they're looking at a business, is to go, I'm going to go check out Ken, I'm going to your website. I go to your social media and I want to see if there's consistencies. I want to see if you're out there, if people are talking about you. So that would be the first person I would encourage you to hire, is somebody like that, to get a website going and a consistent brand and marketing message out there for you, including some social media. And, you'll hear, I can't afford that, coach. It's a lot of money. Well, you can't afford not to. It's going to cost you money in the long run by not having those things in place.
Yeah. And I think people, if you have the funds to do it, obviously it'd be ideal, but there's nothing wrong with even hiring someone that's going to handle that stuff, whether it's on Fiverr or some of those other places, at least to get you started, just to, initially even just to set it up, right? Whether they manage it or not, at least get that set up just so have something there, right? And I think that's what Claudine was really eloquently talking about there. So
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. So that would be, and again, it depends on the industry that you're in. Like, for example, I could recommend that to somebody and they say, well, I can do all that myself, right? But there's a weakness. I always say hire for your weaknesses. So if you're not sure, because we could go many different directions with that question, I would just say hire for your weaknesses. Whatever you're not good at, that's the first person that you're going to put in on your employee list. Like, so for example, my assistant Marta, one of the things she's brilliant at is keeping all my receipts and those types of things organized. I don't like to do it. It's not the highest and best use of my time. So right away, I hire for my weaknesses and she takes that off my plate.
But yeah, no, good to hear. So how do you currently run your operation now, right? So I know you work in this. So is all your staff, are they working remote? Like, do you guys use a boardroom or anything like that every once in a while, or what?
Yeah. So now and again, they're remote. I mean, they're not too far away from me, but I live downtown Toronto. My office is in the suburbs in Ajax. Marta's a little bit north of here. Eagle's sort of midtown. So everyone's sort of all over the place. So we have a good thing going working remotely. And then, I have 2 formal sort of client, and employee appreciation events every year. And so guaranteed we're going to see each other in person at those times. Actually, I have one coming up in the next 2 weeks at a farm. And I'm bringing somebody in to do improv comedy called Improv Your Business to get my clients' juices flowing for 2023 planning. So we are guaranteed to see each other at least on those couple of times a year. For the client events. But yeah, for the most part, everyone's remote. They've got families and there's no reason for them to be here. There's no reason. My office is a space for really where clients come in.
Right.
And we shut the door and we work on the board and we brainstorm and work on their business.
So I know you also, like I said, you do like one-on-ones, you do coaching sessions still. Do you do a lot of like you said, clients sometimes come to the office? Do you ever go to the client's office as well to do any of this work?
Me. Yeah, all the time. So I have a mixed bag, really. I have clients that, just want to be on Zoom and I have no interest in driving into the office and seeing me in person. I have clients that actually want to come into the office. I've had 2 people already in this morning that will come in and we'll do one-on-one coaching right here in the office. Now, I do have some companies. So for example, last week, I was on the road going to visit a client of mine. She runs a huge bridal alteration company. She has employees, and I was at her space last week coaching her and her team. So it's a mixed bag of both. And then the leadership development side of my business, that's a mixed bag too, in terms of, some group training that I do online. And then also sometimes some of the leaders come into the office for their sessions and we book the boardroom for those because there's usually more people than, that can fit in my office.
Yeah. How did it feel to get the clients back when things started to open up during the pandemic, when you could actually see people, whether it's coming into a boardroom? Because I mean, like I said, I haven't been to some of my, one of my day jobs in over 2.5 years because there was no need for us to be in there. So how was it that first experience to get back into the boardroom, or, meeting people in person? How was that like?
Unbelievable. When COVID hit, a lot of my clients that I've been seeing on a regular basis that come into the office actually had still asked to come into the office during COVID. Our office was closed, but because I have a closed door here and the space I'm in, we were still allowed to bring people in. So I actually continued coaching at the office for quite a while still for a few people that really did need to, be in person. But the first, official times where we could really get people back in here and in the boardroom and have events, man, I think we hugged so much. Everyone was just kind of crying. It was emotional. It was a bit weird. I don't know if you found some of that too. Like, it was a bit weird because I think everyone had sort of forgotten like social skills in terms of what do you do when you're in front of somebody? Are you hugging? Are you elbow pumping? Like, what do we do here? Right. So it was a bit awkward and a bit weird, but felt amazing all at the same time. And then it was just a miracle that we could all be together, never to be taken for granted.
Never. I think the fun thing I was used to, weird for seeing people, was being able to see them from, the eyes down. Because usually this is most of what I see for people. And I'm just putting my hand over my nose and my mouth because everyone's wearing a mask. So to actually see someone in person, you're like, okay, I got to shave my beard, or I got to you know, for the
Kind of
freshen
freshen up,
up or
man.
whatever,
Yeah.
right? And it's very interesting to hear that. So that's nice. So
Yeah, no, it was really great.
so what
Really
are your
great.
plans right now over the next 5 years in terms of expansion? Are you looking to grow out of where you are right now into something big, like having actually the big office, or, maybe just grow, just maintaining the same model, adding more team members and just spreading it that way? What's your thought?
Yeah, a bigger office. No, I'm really happy where I am right now. It's really what I need for my operation. Coaching is a funny duck. You can be sort of where I am right now in a really good place, making great revenue, or you can, take it even further and have a massive team and other coaches. And I've looked at that. I've looked at that with my coach. Every year we tend to revisit that model, and every year I go, no. I don't want to dilute my services. People want me, interestingly enough, they want me. And, if I put another coach in front of them or start a model like the Tony Robbins and that kind of thing, I don't think it's going to fly. It's not me. It's not my brand. It's kind of not what I stand for. I like that boutique-y feel. So, what I'm really looking to do in terms of expansion is more expand on the leadership development coaching side of things, which has really been, a piece that has grown for me over the last couple of years, as well as the entrepreneurs that, are serious. They're the doers. They want to get it done. They're serious. They're in business. Their business is not a hobby. These are the people that I want to, expand and grow with over the next 5, 10, 25 years. I'm no spring chicken anymore. So, I don't want to increase my workload. I want to, still take the weekends off and have that family time. My daughter's older now. I don't have young people running around anymore. But still, it's important for hubby and I to have our time together at the weekends, and I maintain that sort of work-life healthy balance.
No, that's great to hear, because I know we're going to touch upon that later on, where we talk about work-life balance that a lot of small owners have a hard time doing, and even to myself sometimes as well. So interesting. So now we're talking into, you're talking about your business and the pain coach and everything. So from the coaching side, what do you find as your biggest expenses that you're kind of paying right now that maybe a lot of people don't even realize, that if I want to get into the coaching space, what kind of things do I need to be, spending on, aside from, let's say, typical things like, okay, you need to have a computer and all this sort of stuff. But is there anything that would surprise your clients or people who want to get into the space that, oh, wow, I actually need to have that stuff in order to do a good job?
Yeah, so a couple of things, and I love this question because, again, finances are a big piece of my coaching practice with my clients, and it's a piece that, understanding your finances, looking at your profit and loss, and understanding the margins and your expenses, and if things are a little lean, and how to reduce your expenses. So it's a great question because it's something that a lot of entrepreneurs, whether you're in coaching or any industry, always tend to shy away from because it's scary, right? But I love it, and I always encourage my clients, and we sort of, back them into a corner to look at those things. But, high overhead costs for me in this industry, things like, maintaining association fees, like, for example, the International Coaching Federation, making sure that you are accredited with somebody like a good governing body, paying those types of fees, industry events. I spent thousands going to Robin Sharma. He's a Canadian guru, the monk who sold his Ferrari 5 a.m. club guy. I don't know if you know who he is. Robin Sharma, he's amazing. Looking up robinsharma.com, he's Canadian. And I would go to all of his live events and spend, a lot of money on these events. But, and that's for me to be able to brush up on my skills so that I can be an even better coach for my clients and bring them even more value. Right. So I never really looked at the cost of that type of thing. I always looked at it as an investment that I would make it back. What else? Rent, office rent. Office rent is a big piece of my expenses. My coach is a big piece of my expenses, one that's never going to go away. She's been by my side for years now. And so that's another big piece. Every coach needs a coach. So I think those are the top ones.
So do you recommend getting a coach as well so do you actually coach coaches who coach? Yeah. I don't know if that made any sense at all. But
No, I do. And it's actually funny. My mother had said to me one year, she goes, "Oh, don't you worry about your coaches that you're coaching taking your coaching clients?" She said that to me. I'm like, no, because we're all doing things very, very differently. We're all in different, I have coaches that are nutritional coaches, they're all doing very, very different types of coaching. There's no one and the same, no identical coaching model where we're all doing it the same way. Everyone's sort of coming to the table differently. So yes, I do. I coach coaches.
Wow.
I coach coaches to construction.
Coaches to construction. Nice. Excellent. All right. So now we're going to hit into this show. We're going to talk about more about the industry itself. So in your opinion, Claudine, what is your opinion of the, coaching industry, and what do you think the direction is right now?
So, I say that, coaching is much like, I draw the parallel to being like an athlete. If you're an athlete and you want to go somewhere, you need a good coach, and you need a coach for every sort of area of your life. You need probably like an agility coach, a mental coach, a coach to coach you on form. And so they're serious about their craft. So to me, if you're serious about being an entrepreneur and being a business owner, you need to have a coach, somebody that knows what they're doing. I think the industry is strong. And, I think a lot more people are looking towards coaching these days because they realize they just can't do it alone. I can't do it alone. As much as I'm a coach, my coach sees my blind spots. That's what we're there to do, to help strategize and plan and see the things that you can't see. So the industry is strong. I think that the downside to it is it's the one people that come out that, in 24 hours, they're getting their life coaching designation online. And then suddenly they're like, oh, I'm a coach now. And they have no accreditation. They've got no qualifications really to coach. And so many times people have come to me for a discovery session, which I offer complimentary, and have said, oh my gosh, I've been ripped off for so many coaches. They want thousands and thousands of dollars and I got nothing in return. So the industry is sort of marred with, negativity like that. So for serious coaches and established coaches like me and a lot of other coaches that I know, it's even harder for us to kind of get out there and prove ourselves and go, you're going to get your money's worth and you're going to make some money with our coaching style. And there's no weird strings attached. So that being said, the coaching industry is a hard nut to crack. So if you're a new coach looking to get into the industry, you're going to give it a couple of years before you make a dent in it. It's a hard nut to crack, but the coaching, the world of coaching, I think, is really opening up a lot more now because we have so many different kinds, right? So many different kinds.
There's like the life coaching, there's the business coaching, there's, even to the point mindset, executive too, and that's also like another thing altogether. It's a lot of different things. I know we're going to touch on that on the actual tip from the pro segment as well, but that's interesting that you're saying that it's almost like, so you said people come out of these things like almost like a coaching certification almost, right? Where it's really mass generated and, you come out, I remember when I'll write this really quickly. I started I was a personal trainer a long time ago, maybe about 20 plus years ago.
Oh, wow. Cool.
And before I got certified, I was like, well, I don't want to spend all that kind of money. I'll find something else. And I found this company that was purely online. I don't want to break their name. I don't want them to sue me or anything. So it was something that, I said, okay, I'll buy this. It was only maybe like $50 or $75. Now this is back in like early 2000, right? So I download this thing and I do a test, and honestly, spending $100 and just reading a manual with no actual, evaluation on certain things, I came out with this thing, and I was a certified fitness trainer. I had a little business card that says I'm certified. I had a little diploma thing, and I'm making motions here. People can't see this, but I'm making all these motions, and I was like, all right, I'm a trainer. And then I'm looking at it like, but it didn't really teach you anything about the business side of it, or to actually evaluate my skills that, oh, okay, if I have an 85-year-old grandmother, do I want to put her on, a stability ball with one leg and trying to do a one-legged squat? Right? So it wasn't anything like that. So then I think you have to get certified and actually go to a reputable place, and not something that they promise, study this weekend, and then next thing you know, you can start charging $100 an hour for your services. I'm like, no, you can't do it like that, right?
And there's many industries that, we have the same thing, learn to be a carpenter in, 6 weeks, whereas people have been building houses for 35 years and are up against these young people that are going out, or people that are not qualified. So it's a big piece. It's a big piece. I mean, I've spent, half of my age in this industry, and, it didn't come overnight. It came from a lot of growth, the best training ever at the bank. Really, I would say that was my university coaching education. Hands-on, training and learning and coaching for results, and then going obviously back to school to George Brown for the life piece. So it's got to be really careful. You've got to be careful who you hire. Do your research, look at reviews, if it seems too good to be true, it really is. And, and coaching is really not about telling anyone what to do. It's about asking questions and exploring and having them sort of figure it out for themselves with your support and guidance.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you too. So what, from a client's perspective, are the biggest misconceptions that, if I go to a coach, I'm like, I don't even know what they do. Are they going to just, like you said, tell me what to do? What do you find as your biggest misconception when you're dealing with clients in the beginning?
Yeah, I think a lot, unless you've had a coach before, a lot of people don't really know what to expect. They really do think they're going to be sort of just told what to do.
Here's a little plan and just do it.
Here you go. Here's your plan, and just get it done. And really that's not my coaching style. Now, there are a lot of coaches out there that are like that. And if you want to be told what to do, sure, go and hire one of those. But to me, it's more about self-discovery. And that's sort of like a misconception. And then the other misconception is that they're going to actually have to do some work, right? It's a two-way street, right? So, if I make an action plan for you, I'm as much invested in it as you are. I take it as seriously as I want you to take it. So that's what I really do look for in my discovery sessions when I'm meeting people for the first time is, do you have skin in the game? Are you ready for this? Because sometimes people, I don't think, really understand or ready for that journey of one of growth and pain and ups and downs. Business is not linear, and coaching is it's to help you in that longer journey. It's not just about that immediate fix. I think sometimes people think, all right, I'm going to come in here. I want one session and then I want to make $100,000.
Teach me everything you can in one session,
Right. And I said, then I'm sorry, I'm not the coach for you and I can't take your money. I can't. Give me a year of your life and then we'll talk. Then we'll see. Like I've got clients that have been on my books for many, many, many years and are still growing and still learning and doing amazing things in their businesses. So it's not a quick fix and it's not an overnight sensation. That's why I relate it to the athlete. Think about the athlete's journey. It's the longer journey. It's not just for the now.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting, like when you said, you talk about sports, and I think when some people don't even know, I think when people watch, let's say, team sports or even individual sports, right, they just think, okay, that person has one coach. Maybe that's for strategy or whatever. It's not. Like you said, they can have, depending if it's like a team sport, they have different positional coaches that teach them certain things. Exactly. Everyone has a trainer for fitness. Everyone has a mental coach. Everyone has all these different things. Even like I think financial coaches too is something, especially for pro athletes, because a lot of, when you hear some horrible stories of professional athletes making millions. Now they're homeless on the street, and
I know.
It's very depressing because they were not taught that stuff. So I think for pro sports now, I think they are making almost mandatory that you have to have a financial advisor. Not because especially for some of these kids who they don't know anything other than the sport, they suddenly have all these hundreds of $1 million coming at them. No one knows really what to do,
and they don't know what to do with it, and it ruins them. And it ruins
I know
them.
As much as we would all love to win the lottery, I'm sure we all would. But that would be the first person I would hire, right? If I was lucky enough to win the lottery. Now I'd still be podcasting because I'd still enjoy podcasting, so I'd still do that for fun. But I would definitely hire someone like that. So, okay, I have more zeros now, so I need to know what I'm supposed to do with all this stuff that makes sense. Where I'm not going to, try to build the next big thing that's going to, fail. But anyways, speaking of failure, and I don't mean this in that way. What a way to transition. Yeah, I always ask this to a lot of my guests. So, for yourself, what has been your biggest failure, but also your biggest success so far?
I think, okay, we'll start with the success. Cause I always say sort of failures, feed your successes. As I mentioned to you, coaching is, it's a hard nut to crack. There are very few coaches that are actually making a decent income. A lot of them are starving. They're doing side businesses. So I think for me, the success has been obviously making some revenue. And let's face facts, it's not all about the money, and that's not my first priority in my practice. But you want to make some revenue. So making a successful business after 8 years and making great revenue, I look at it as a success. The second thing is pricing accordingly, pricing for what I'm worth. That was a failure for me. So to go back to your first question about the failure, I didn't charge what I was worth right from the very beginning for many reasons. You lack confidence. You're not sure of yourself. You kind of go, well, people are going to say I'm too expensive. And then what I learned through training and going to Robin Sharma's events is that, you want people to gasp a little bit when you give your fee. You want them to have some skin in the game. If they're going to pay you, you know that they're going to do the work. So that was a failure for me. I spent the first couple of years really not charging, what I was worth. But to your point, that sort of fueled my successes now, if you will.
That's great to hear because, like I said, I always want people to hear the real stuff of a business, right? Because if all we wanted to do was talk about all the great things that Claudine has done, and she makes it sound so easy because basically you can hear in her passion that she's very passionate about this, and she makes it sound so simple. It's like, okay, I want to do it too, but it's also good to hear the other side of it. So to make sure that, okay, if I really want to follow in Claudine's footsteps, maybe not call myself the pink coach, maybe I'll call myself the blue coach or anything like that, then, I want to make sure what are the things I gotta be careful of, right? Like you said, and I like that you just mentioned it, that the coaching industry, which seems like a very quote unquote low overhead industry, because, okay, maybe aside from paying to become, to get certified as a coach, you're thinking, okay, well, you need a big office. I don't need all this fancy equipment. I can just start charging fee. No, it's not as easy as that, right?
That's right.
Now it's time for tips from the pro.
Hey, do you need an error-free website? Do you need transcription that's accurate and on time? Would you like to remove noise from your video or audio recording? Do you need a spokesperson for your business? If so, we can help. At Northway Capital Group, we are happy to announce that we are now providing website testing services, audio transcriptions, and audio cleanup, as well as spokesperson services. We would love to help you on your next project. Contact us for more information at northwaycapitalgroup@gmail.com.
That's right.
Excellent. All right. So now we're going to go over tips from the pro segments here. And now we're going to ask from the vantage point of, okay, I want to do what Claudine does, or at least something similar within the coaching space. And now I need to know what are some of the things I need to understand. So, okay, question number one there, Claudine. What's been the biggest mistake you see the small business clients are actually making today?
First of all, they are not getting themselves out there as much as they should. They're playing very small. They're afraid. There's a lot of imposter syndrome out, that's sort of hanging around entrepreneurs because they don't feel they're good enough. And so that sort of prevents them from getting themselves out there. And so shamelessly promoting your business, I say, is you got to do it. And a lot of, entrepreneurs shy away from that, but you need to shamelessly promote your business. No one's going to do it for you, but you. And the other thing too, I see is that not tracking your finances. You've got to know your money. You've got to look at your finances.
Wow.
Got to look at your money.
I think that, that's a great point, because it's very easy to buy all the greatest equipment or whatever, or all the softwares or all the courses. But if you don't actually apply it anywhere, then I think everything, it's fun to be a business when you get to buy things. But if you're not going to use them to what they're supposed to be, that's a challenge. And I think that that money could have been spent elsewhere, whether it's marketing, bringing in another person, like you said, to be like an assistant. That could be something you can think about as well. Yep. So interesting. So how do you personally educate yourself to stay on top of current trends, like websites, memberships, market intelligence sites? What do you recommend for the person trying to follow?
So, if you're in the coaching industry, you want to be following what current affairs, I call it current affairs, are out there. Now, I'm not encouraging you to sit and watch the news, because news can be very depressing. So be strategic with what you're listening to. There's a lot of great groups out there, like, in Ontario, the Business Advisory Center in Durham is great, has great information. The BDC, the Business Development Center, always has current information. Any local Board of Trade event or newsletter will have great articles on there that you can read up to date and see what's current, as well as LinkedIn has very good articles. And so I always follow the trends, the economic stories, and seeing what's going out there in the economy, because not just for coaching, but even for coaching my clients, you need to know what's going on. We can't just think about now. We're already thinking about 2023, 2024. And what is the economy going to be looking like then? And you learn that from reading these articles and going on webinars and seeing what the industry, is responding to, and looking at people that are really successful in business that have made it through COVID. That's another piece I look at too. Like, for example, Richard Branson. I'll always follow him on LinkedIn, and now he's teaching a masterclass online on business. So, there's not one place I go to. I go to many different places to look for my data, so that will strengthen us for planning. So for example, my leadership clients, lots of studies are showing right now we're in this big hiring war where my clients that are, leaders can't hire. They can't find good talent. It's a problem. And they can't retain good talent. People are coming in, getting a counter offer, and they're taking off in a month's time. So I do lots of research. I'm digging around for articles from economists about industries and when people are going to resign and what does that look like for your industry, so that I can present that, in a sensible manner to my clients. And I can also plan for that as well.
Yeah, no, it makes perfect sense. I mean, to stay on top is very hard, right? I think people think, oh, okay, just go to one website and that'll be it. And I'm sure if you can find a good website, that'll give you a certain slice of what you need to know. But to know everything else, it's really hard, right? And so who is someone you actually follow that most people wouldn't think that you would follow? I don't know if that makes any sense. So maybe
in terms of like online or Instagram.
Let's open it up there.
Oh, wow. That's a good. Joel Osteen. I love him. He's he's a Christian speaker, but he's very motivational. I absolutely love him. I follow him, nothing to do with business, but how he speaks really does help me. So I follow him. I'm a crazy cat lady, just to throw that in there. So I love anything online to do with cats and crazy videos and things like that. I follow a lot of those types of things on Instagram, sort of outside of business. And of course, anything to do with dance. I absolutely love.
That's great. It's too bad I don't have my cats here with me. They're actually over there. I have two ragdoll cats, which I did not want. I'll make this story faster. So we lost our cat, I believe, last year, maybe 2 years. Actually, no, Victoria Day of 2021. She got sick, and she's like our 12-year-old cat. And then we had to put her down. And my kids, I have two young kids. They're now 8 and 10. But So here's the funny thing. So I think I'm a pet person. I love animals. I usually didn't want pets because I didn't like to lose them, because most likely we're going to outlive our pets. So I did not want to have to go through that. So when we lost our cat, because she unfortunately got sick, I was okay, Claudine, not having pets. But my wife, Mrs. K, wanted a cat.
Mrs. K.
My kids wanted a cat. Yeah. So I said I forbidded it from getting more pets. I was outvoted 3-1.
You lost.
I lost it, and we ended up. I said, okay, if we're getting one, we're getting two. So one for company, and also for my kids. One would be kind of like my daughters, and one would be like my sons. And now we've had them for about a year. And if people ever go to my website, northwaycapital.ca, you'll see that those cats are our official mascots for the company, right? And they have a very good little background spiel about them in terms of what they like to do and what's their favorite YouTube channel to follow. But that's my shameless plug for my website. But anyways, but no, yeah.
No, go for it.
But that's what I think you have to really understand is, it takes a lot to really figure out who to follow. And I also like to follow Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, for some reason.
Yeah, he's great.
And it's funny because you know what? Money is not an issue with him, but he's just so driven, right? So
he is.
So it's like he was making TV shows and movies plus running stuff, and I'm like, dude, what do you do to relax, right? Because I guess that's the difference between like elite people who really strive for those things and some average Joe like me. Because if I was lucky enough to get success in one thing, I'm more okay than to say, step back, maybe buy a franchise or something and just relax and spend, but for some people, like especially for some athletes who are driven to not just win one championship, they got to win multiple. So what do you see in some of those? And now we're going to bring it back to more of the entrepreneurial side. For your clients that you've seen, what do you see as that definitive quality that separates the ones that are just so driven versus the ones that, when you're talking to them, you're just like, oh, okay, they're just going to give me some lip service and they're not actually going to do anything.
Yeah, I'm going to answer that, but I will just say the Dwayne Johnson piece. I do follow Pitbull and Sylvester Stallone, great businessmen. If you ever get to hear Pitbull speak, he's unbelievable. And, a lot of these guys do a lot of investing on the side. They're pretty, I heard both of them speak actually at a real estate conference here in Toronto, and they're great. So they're really good.
Sylvester Stallone and Pitbull?
well.
Really?
Yep. Yeah.
Good to know.
Yeah. I heard them both speak at a real estate conference. They were amazing. They were amazing. And then Pitbull sang, which was even more fun for me. So yeah. So, what I tell you what it sort of resilience, determination, fire in the belly. I can't put that there for you. If that's not there, you got to figure out a way to get it. Otherwise, maybe entrepreneurship might not be for you. Right. Are you, there's a lovely lady called Zandra Bell, look her up. She's hilarious. I know her from networking, and she has a line. She says, are you a hoe or are you a beau? Are you a hobby owner or are you a business owner? There's a real distinct difference between a hoe and a beau. So, are you just doing this as a hobby? Are you just doing something just to pass the time and you don't really care if you need to make money or not? Or is this your livelihood? Do you get up with a fire in your belly every day to go, wow, I'm excited today. I'm getting up and driving to the office. I'm being interviewed by Ken Alfred, like excitement, man. Going to put my best clothes on, even though I'm not going to get seen on video, because this is how you show up. I show up as a professional. And that's what it takes. There's a difference. There's a fine line between that. And, another amazing guy called Nikki Ballou, he has a podcast series and he calls them dabblers, right? For me, I don't want to work with a dabbler. I want to work with someone that is going to, the athlete that wants to move the needle in their business, not the dabbler, not the person that's going to make excuses. And not that there's anything wrong with that. You just might not have to, Yeah. I've seen, and some of the things I've identified in individuals like this that wonder why they're not getting the results is, again, there's no fire lit under their butt. They know that husband is going out to work and putting food and they'll put food on the table, whether they make money or not.
Yeah.
So there's really nothing in it for them. So that's really what I'm seeing.
Yeah, no, I think it's great. Another person I'd like to follow is Patrick Bet-David. I used really love listening to him speak just from that motivational point of view that, he's also one where he's making a lot of money, but he's still so driven to want to really go, right? Which is really interesting to say. Yeah. So, okay, let's get back to some of these other questions here. So what
let's do it.
What do you think are some niches that maybe a newer coach should maybe look into right away? Because I guess when some people think, oh, I want to be like executive coaching or like these ones where it's all about the CEOs and stuff like that, but should they try that in the first bit or so, or should they try to go a little bit smaller, or is there totally another niche altogether? And I'll use one example. I use this example for a lot of it. So I had one episode where I had a makeup artist, and one of the great things that she said when she first started, because some people think of makeup artists, they think, oh, they're going to do like big flashy weddings or cover shoots or something. Yeah. She's like, no, I found jobs through funeral homes. And I was like, that's something I didn't even think about. Is there something like that, do you think, in the coaching space that, especially if you're just coming out, you just got your certification and you're like, okay, where do I go first?
I think you've got to think about what it is you have to offer, right? So what is the pain that you're going to fill in someone's life? What is that gap that you have a good, that you're trained in, that you're going to be able to fill for somebody, right? Mine is entrepreneurial coaching and leadership development coaching. I'm well versed in it. I stick to my knitting. That's what I'm good at. So just think about who it is that you want to work with based on the skill set that you have. Who would be your ideal client? What gap is it that you're going to fill in somebody's life? That's a really important piece, because what you don't want to do is come out and cast the net so wide and you're not sure which direction you're going in, or aim as high as maybe executive coaching when you just kind of, you're just starting out and opening the doors of your practice. And then the second piece to that, so think about the gap that you're filling. And then the second piece to that is kind of based on what you said before about the industry knowledge. And this is key. It's about thinking about what's missing out there. What are people dealing with at the moment in their lives and businesses, or just life in general? And what is the problem? What are the problems that they're facing, and how can you solve them? Right. So we that's why leadership coaching is really taking off, because leadership and employees, all of that stuff, that world has changed so drastically since COVID. There's a huge gap there. And most organizations have a purse string to spend that kind of money on that particular coaching. So always look at what the industry is looking for, and you match it with your service.
And can you give?
That's what I would recommend.
And just so for some of the listeners there, what are some other niches that we know? So we think of, when we think of coaching, okay, there's life coaching, which is basically, almost everything. There's the executive leadership coaching that you do. There's also,
yes.
Oh my God, there's some, What are some other ones that we can give example? Business
Business.
coaching. Okay, perfect.
Yeah, business coaching. There's mindset, a lot of mindset
Okay,
coaching out there.
good.
Coaching on financial. I have a couple of people on my books that are in the financial services industry. That's what they do. They make plans for people. So that's actually taking off quite a bit now. There's nutritional coaching. I have a personal trainer on my
Yeah.
books.
But that's great.
So it's quite a broad. It's quite
Yeah,
broad.
because there's nothing wrong if let's say I have a background in personal training and let's say I want to get into coaching and maybe focusing on fitness professionals as a coaching. So it's like coaching, and
That's
like
right.
that's something that people didn't think about too, right? Because they're thinking, oh, what they're just thinking of businesses of like all these high tech executive stuff. It's kind of cool to hear. So
Yeah, and I think you don't just want to narrow it down to that. Like there's many, like for example, if I look at you, you're a subject matter expert in podcasts. So I'd say, hey, you could offer that out and maybe you already do this as a piece, an arm to your business, that you train entrepreneurs or train people that want to have a podcast and they don't know where to start. They don't know about platforms. They don't know how, they're not techie. You can walk them through the whole process, how you do it from intake to media documents and all of those things. And there's a program right there. That you could call yourself a coach on because you've done it, and it's a gap.
all right. Well, now that I didn't even think about that, but okay. Well, that's why I'm glad I'm speaking to Claudine right now. So that gives me an idea. So
You're welcome.
all right. So let me ask a couple more questions on tips from the pro here. Should I bill hourly or should I have a monthly retainer?
So I was for coaching specifically, and I'll just speak to the coaching industry because we could go many different ways on this. I would caution you against billing hourly. What you want is a client on a journey for a while in your practice because it doesn't take just one session. If you bill, and again, that was a mistake I fell into right at the beginning, a mistake I made. I used to bill hourly. And then I quickly figured out that people aren't staying on. They will just jump in and jump out. If they know they can pay by the hour, it's like me going for massage. I could choose to go this week and the next week I choose I'm not going to go. But if I'm paying you a monthly fee for a program, which I've built that's more robust for you, that includes a massage and includes something else and includes this, then you have more of a chance of getting that client to sort of stay on board and not just pay you, $100 an hour. And specifically in the coaching business, I'm not selling you a pen, so I'm not going to charge you $1.99. I would caution you against billing hourly. I used to do that at the beginning of my practice, and that was a mistake I made. What you really want is the longer journey for your client. And by billing hourly, someone can just jump in and out whenever they want to. It's like going for massage. You can choose to go this week and not go the following week. So there's no stability or longevity to the arrangement with your client versus putting something together like a package. So it's, X amount of dollars every month. And you're going to get, these 10 things for X amount of dollars every month for the next year. So that's how I would recommend billing in the coaching world.
Okay, perfect. Now for coaching, is there actually any insurance that you guys have to do when running your business? It's not like an E&O or anything like that, but is there anything that you guys need specific?
Yeah, absolutely. I have business liability insurance, covers me for, God forbid, knock on wood, if someone sued me, or, if something happens to my data on my laptop or my office, if someone trips and falls. So yeah, I have full insurance in terms of business liability. I recommend that you have that. If you're a coach or any other business, you should always have some form of business liability insurance.
Yeah. We're not insurance experts. Obviously, we would speak to a licensed insurance agent that'll give you the right coverage of what you need. And for that. So, all right, last question on the tips from the pro segment here. What is your best strategy for dealing with difficult clients?
Well, I actually don't have difficult clients because I handpick my clients. So knock on wood, I haven't had any issues. But I've had a lot of clients that have had issues with difficult clients. And, I would just say is to figure out a way to deal with the conflict. We tend to shy away from conflict. No one wants to deal with it or have those conversations. But, think about what the issue is with the client. Think about whether they're the right client for you, and think about whether it's time to maybe fire the client and say that this isn't working out. Depending on when you say difficult, we could have many different, meanings to that. Are they paying? Are they being belligerent? Are they being rude? Are they being demanding on your time? And you got to kind of know at what point you're ready to either just have a conversation about it and get it out in the open and say, how can we reach a common ground on this? Or whether it's time to say goodbye to your client.
Yeah.
And kind of say, this is not working out. Maybe this is just not
because I think the last thing a small business owner wants is to get that email or that phone call from that particular client that they dread. Right. And that's not why we got into business. We didn't want to have to get in to deal with that stuff. So I like the approach. I think it's almost better to pre-screen any potential prospects before you actually take them on.
Totally.
Right. Just because.
Oh, absolutely. Pre-screening is imperative. Know what it is. Watch out for red flags. Right. Because any red flags that you see in a pre-screen that you're talking to somebody face to face are typically not going to go away. You might go, oh, well, you know what? They're going to pay me good money. But think about your tolerance to that.
Yes.
Because that red flag that you see as you interview a client or you were interviewing an employee is not going to go away. It'll be there. It'll be there and it will come back to haunt you. Mark my word.
You don't want, because if they're a pain in the butt before you got them signed, can you imagine what it's going to be like once they're signed to you? Right?
Exactly. And, I'll give you a quick example of that is someone that says to you, oh, that's your price. Oh, wow. Can you do it a bit cheaper? And then you drop the price for them, which I totally disagree with. And you should not dilute your services or your pricing. Your fee is your fee. But the one that says to you, oh, can you just do it for a bit less? And then they come into the practice, you welcome them in. Again, I've been bitten in the butt by this, ladies and gentlemen, so many times, which I don't do anymore. And then they don't pay you. And then you have a hard time getting money from them. So that's the red flag right from the start. Anyone that wants to dilute your services are not going to be your ideal client.
That's a quick story for me too, is that when one of my businesses I used to run was a mobile detailing business. So I, clean cars, all that sort of stuff. And some people that say, oh yeah, the guy down the street can do it for $50 less. I'm like, then that might be the best fit for you because it's the same labor.
Yep.
Right. It's not like you said, the cost of the pen or the pencil. It's like if you're doing a service that requires a lot of effort, whether it's hour or it's several hours to, let's say, clean a car, that's the same level of effort for less money. So you have to be very careful of stuff like that. So, all right. I know I want to make sure we get through some of these fast ones here. I know we're just about, I appreciate your time here because I want to.
No, that's fine. We're good for time.
So, all right. What is the funniest small business story that you've had in your practice?
Oh my goodness, the funniest small business.
Yeah, so we're now getting into the more lighthearted stuff. Not the rapid fire yet, which is coming up, but this is just more a couple of fun.
Oh gosh, I gotta prepare myself.
Don't do it. Uh-oh.
Oh my gosh, I'm trying to be politically correct here with this one. I had a situation once with a business owner who had a client come onto her pretty strongly, right? It turned into, she was actually in the sort of sex industry and was selling toys and these types of things. And it backfired on her because the guy just wanted to have fun with her. So, that's one. And then another one too, I have one past client of mine was a beautician running her own practice. And, she'd get male clients coming in and they don't want to get their waxing done. They just want a quick, some hokey pokey. And so they tell me these stories and I'm like, oh my gosh, do people really still do
this? This is North America too, right? This is not.
It's appropriate. I know. I couldn't believe
it. How about you? How about within your company?
It.
So any funny stories that you can think of, not your clients' stories, but how about your story?
Yeah, no, I can't say I have anything that hilarious. I mean, my client we have an amazing community. The Pink Coach family, as they call themselves, are a community amongst themselves. So we always have lots of laughs and jokes when we get together for client appreciation and our parties. We dance. I always hire a DJ. We eat. So we have lots and lots of good fun as we're doing business. But funny stories that maybe I'm going to go away now, Ken. I'm going to go, oh, I had one. I had a funny story.
I'm sure you'll come up with it. So, all right, last couple ones here before we hit the rapid fire round. What would your 15-year-old self think you'd be doing right now?
At 15, I wanted to be a vet. So I would be coming to take care of your cats. That's what I would be doing at 15.
No. And the best tip you have for work-life balance, small business owners, we're notorious working crazy hours. But also, if it's one thing if we were single and didn't have, let's say, a significant other or family or pets, to focus totally on it.
Right.
But now for some people, especially because of the pandemic, whether they're adding side gigs or whatever, now their time is even less with the people that they love. So what's your best opinion? What's your best advice to how to bring a better work-life balance?
Yeah, a couple things. Schedule in your personal time off. And stick to it. So just as you're scheduling in your work or this podcast or your clients, schedule your downtime, right? Schedule it ahead of time. Pretend you're an employee and you have to say to your employer, I'm taking 6 weeks off every year. And here's when I'm scheduling it in. I schedule all my time off for the whole year in at the end of the year as I'm planning for that. So I know, like, for example, this week I'm off 2 days, Thursday, Friday, make it a nice long weekend. Go and watch the air show. So schedule your personal time off. If it's not scheduled, it's not going to happen. So that's my number one sort of piece of advice. I don't know as a business owner whether there'll ever be like an even keel work-life balance. I don't know if that really exists. You need to create that. You need to know at 7 o'clock at night, you're putting the phone away and you're putting your laptop away so that you can have dinner with your kids or dinner with your husband or go for a walk. Or, not working on the weekends. You've got to do what's sort of right for you, but you need to put those parameters in place. And when you're taking time off, put your out of office
Well,
on.
I was about to say, because I don't know if you guys know this, when I talk to potential guests on the show and I send emails back and forth, Claudine is the only owner that I know of that I've seen multiple out of office notifications. Right. And I'm just like, wow, that's great. So she definitely practices what she preached, which I think we should all be doing as well.
You let your clients know a good way to get a hold of you. If it was urgent, I know my clients could text me. The texting will be one thing I will always check. And if something is glaring and on fire, I'll deal with it and I'll call you and I'll help you. But other than that, I'm trying to say I'm taking a couple of days off from my emails. The sky is not going to fall down.
Exactly. We're not
now. At the beginning of your business, you might not want to do that because you want to watch for every lead and whatever. But that's a great way to really dial it back and say to your family, you're really important to me and my mental health is important to me. And I want to take some time off just to rest my brain and decompress and have that downtime. It's in our own hands. We control it. And the other thing I'll just say really quickly on that, turn off your notifications on your phone, all of them. I don't have any notifications on my phone. I did that years ago. It was the best thing I ever did. The ringer's off. If my phone rings, it rings on my Fitbit. I can see at a glance if it's urgent, if it's my daughter. If she calls twice, I know I've got to pick up. If not, you can wait.
Absolutely.
I couldn't tell you if I look at my phone now how many emails I have or text messages. It's not going to tell me anything.
Absolutely. Last part here. I don't know if that's the sign saying that we should wrap it up. That's why they're trying to cut us off.
They want us to shut up, Ken. We're having such a good time.
I know. Me too.
Now it's time for the rapid fire round.
Do you have a small business story to share? The S.M.E. Stories podcast is looking for entrepreneurs to share their tales of success, failure, and everything. If you're interested in being a guest on our show or know someone would be a great fit, please contact us at northwaycapitalgroup@gmail.com. That's northwaycapitalgroup@gmail.com. So here, this is the rapid fire round, and this is going to be like faster questions, more relaxed, like we said for the other one. So, all right.
Cool.
Would you rather put ketchup or ranch dressing on everything you eat?
Ketchup.
Nice. Why?
Love it. I'm addicted to ketchup. I don't know what it is, and I don't like tomatoes. There you go. Weird fact.
Same here. I don't like tomatoes. I can eat tomato sauce. I can have ketchup, and maybe the closest thing would be bruschetta, where they have a little bit of that. But
I wouldn't even eat that. Ooh, no.
Either case, that's fine. But if
the ketchup, let's do
ketchup,
it. I love
got it. All right.
Heinz only. No Frenches.
You like Heinz? All right. If you could have your own sandwich, what's in it, and what would it be called?
Ham, mustard, and mayonnaise. The hamonita.
Hamonita.
The hamonita.
Put it on a shirt. I like it. All right.
Yeah.
What posters did you have on your wall as when you were a kid?
Oh my God, Michael Jackson, Tina Turner, Huey Lewis and the News, Whitney Houston, all the 80s. Wham,
George Michael, love it.
Yeah, George Michael and Wham. They were massive in England back in the 80s, massive.
Well, I actually play a lot of, like, when we have dinner with the kids and everything, we'll play like just Spotify maybe in the background, and we'll just pick a genre, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s. Yeah. Just because I think, maybe I'm sounding like an old timer now, I think songs back then, I think you can sing them. You can sing them easier. You can follow them. Some of today's music now, I don't know what they're saying.
Nope.
And
I know
And
that's a really great thing to do with your kids. I did the same thing. My daughter's 24 now, and she grew up listening to me play all the old stuff, and that's what she plays.
and she can and they can appreciate that kind of music.
They can appreciate
I've
it.
seen more YouTube videos now where they have like millennials listening to classic, different genres of music and seeing their reaction. And some of them, and most of them, are very positive. Like, wow, this is really good music. So excellent. So we call it that. Excellent. All right. If you were to sit, who would you most likely want to sit on a 10-hour flight with?
The Queen.
The Queen.
Yep.
Any particular question you would ask her?
A million. I would ask her so many things about like Diana and Charles, and why she stayed with her cheating husband for all those years. How did she make these decisions when she was so young? Like so many stresses that she's had to deal with over the years, and how she stays so stoic. Like, what is her magic coping power? I'd love it. There you go.
See, if I was to sit next to the Queen, unfortunately, I won't be as really thorough as you would. I'd be like, "What's your favorite hamburger?"
Oh yeah,
just to hear what she says, right? Or the designated hitter rule in baseball, yay or nay, right? Which one do you prefer, right? But questions that she would not be used to asking, right? Because sometimes I think if you get too serious with them, they almost feel like you're almost like a reporter, right? They're like, oh God, this is just someone from the media asking, that's pretending to be a fan. They just want to try to get me into. I'm like, you can't go wrong with someone asking someone what your favorite burger is.
She's got a sense of humor.
Yeah.
Like she did the opening segment to the I think one of the Bond with James Bond. She was in an opening segment with a helicopter and everything, and she got along quite well with the whole thing. So she's got a wicked sense of humor deep down. Yeah,
I like that. All right, All right. So last question here. I always ask this to all my guests: what is your theme song and why? So you're walking down the street, that song plays. People know Claudine's coming.
Okay, I have so many songs, but I will say that the one song that it would be sort of my mantra is Ain't No Stopping Us Now by McFadden, and it's called Ain't No Stopping Us Now. Ain't no stopping us now.
Oh, yes, I'm familiar with that.
Yeah. McFadden and Whitehead, that's it.
What it is.
And it's a mantra about anything in life, about, not letting things, they talk about being held down and, but things are finally coming around, and we can apply that to business, life, everything in our lives. And it's a great, if you look it up, the dance video is cool. They're doing some good old 70s moves. So I love that song. I love it. I think it just, we can allow things to get in our way and stop us. Life takes over, problems take over. But it's how we sort of maneuver through all of that and come out the other side.
Wow. Great one here. So our last question here, Claudine, any final thoughts or any advice for anyone who wants to start their own gig?
Yeah, I would just say, work on your mental ability, it's not just about being able to sell a product or a service or be good at what you do. It's that agility. It's that mental capacity, that the brain resilience. That's what you want to really, really build. It's one of the most important pieces, that we all survive through the tough times or through COVID. Look at what happened to us. If you work on that mental resiliency and that training for your brain, you'll be able to cope when rough times hit in your business. I'd say that's the number one thing. Arlene Dickinson, the famous Dragon Den lady, said it the best. She said, to be in business, you need to have an inside made of Teflon, right? And like the frying pan. And so that's what I would say to work on all the time in your practice, or when you're just getting started.
Excellent. And where can people reach out to you?
Yeah, so look me up. I'm all over social media. You can find me on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, under the Pink Coach, or Claudine Pereira. I show up as both. And please follow me. I'd love to follow you back and learn more about you and your business.
All right, Claudine. Well, thanks for being on the show. It was a great one.
Thanks, Ken. This has been a blast. Thank you so much.
Hey, you, do you need a voiceover? Well, look no farther. Northway Capital Group has your answer. Commercials and explainer videos, AVR and voicemail, health and wellness, corporate training and e-learning, announcements, documentaries, and biography. Contact us on social media or email us at northwaycapitalgroup@gmail.com. Thank you for listening to the S.M.E Stories podcast, which is owned by Northway Capital Group. Please follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Northway Capital Group.